Okay, so hi everybody. So today we're going to be dissecting the sheep brain. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the meninges. So these are the meninges right here. You'll notice the meninges are not that thick. And then if you notice right here, this is going to go into the longitudinal fissure, and this is known as the falx cerebri, right there. And then back here, between the cerebrum and the cerebellum, I actually have the tentorum cerebelli, which is going to be this part right here that's going to stick in there. So let's go ahead and take this off. And this is looking at the sheep brain now. This is going to be the front, and this is going to be the back. This is the cerebellum. So my frontal lobe would be up in here. My parietal lobes would be in this area. And my occipital lobes is going to be in this area back in here. And then on the side, I'm going to have my temporal lobe. So if we flip this over real quick, there's some structures we'll notice. And again, this is the front of the brain that's right here. We have the olfactory bulbs, which these are right above our nose. Okay, and again, it's a sheep, but these would be right above our nose where the nerves come together, and those are the bulbs. And then you can see the olfactory tracts, which head down into the brain so that smell can be sensed. You'll notice right here, it's actually cut away, but this is where my optic chiasm is, would be down in here. And this should actually cross over something like this. Okay, but you can see that's been cut away. So now, the next thing we're gonna look at is right here on the cerebellum, is if I pull the cerebellum out, you'll notice that down in here, I have my inferior colliculus. That flat area right there is the inferior colliculus. And the inferior colliculus is responsible for taking things that we hear and making an involuntary motor movement. Then above that, we have the superior colliculus. And the superior colliculus is responsible for taking things we see and making an involuntary motor movement. Then if we pull this out just a little bit, you'll see there's a little structure right back in there. If you can just come in on that, there's a little structure right there. That's our pineal gland. So this is my epithalamus right there. That's the pineal gland. And the pineal gland releases melatonin, which is going to help us sleep. If we look at the top of the brain now, some things real quick, is if you notice the solid parts here, those are called gyri, that's plural. They'd be gyrus if it's singular. And then right here, we have these depressions right here are called sulci. So that's going to be the sulci, which are little depressions around the gyri. By the way, if it's singular, it's called sulcus. This here is going to be my longitudinal fissure, right? And it's going to separate my right and my left cerebral hemisphere. So again, this big part here is the cerebrum. And I'm just going to cut some more of this out in there. And now I'm going to gradually open this up, and what we should see, if we look at this white thing that's at the bottom, you can see there's like a white shiny line at the bottom there. That's basically my corpus callosum that's right there. The corpus callosum is responsible for helping the right side of the brain send information to the left and vice versa. Okay, so let's go ahead now. We're going to cut the brain in half. Okay, and if I cut the brain in half, we're going to notice a few structures here. So once again, this is going to be my corpus callosum, which is right here. That helps the right side of the brain communicate with the left. This opening in the corpus callosum is my
lateral ventricle, and my lateral ventricle contains ependymal cells,
which make up the choroid plexus, which is going to make cerebral spinal fluid. This here is the thalamus. Okay, and then this up here again is my pineal gland, which is going to be the epithalamus. Then here I have my hypothalamus. This is my optic nerve that's still right there. And then if you notice, this is my cerebellum, which we've cut in half. If you notice, it's a tree-like structure there, and this is called arbe vitae. The white that you see here is myelinated fibers. So this other part is gray matter, and this is called the arbe vitae. This would be my pons right here, where you see that little part sticking out. This would be my midbrain, and then this is going to be my medulla oblongata. If you notice up in here, I also have gray matter that's up in here, right? If I look at the here and compare it to here, this is my gray matter, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I am going to take the brain and cut it like this, okay? And if we look, you'll also see there's more white matter there. And then when you see these darker areas, that's gray matter, and this would be my cerebral cortex once again. So the white part is myelinated fibers, and that's white matter. And then these other parts are gray matter. Now, the last thing we're going to do, oh, and I already mentioned it, where I have my arbe vitae, which is here, okay, and the cerebellum. Okay, so that's basically it for the brain. So if you like the video, please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you.